Well, thank you so
Yeah,
much,
thank
Rob.
you. I really appreciate it.
So we are going to bring in another person. I know a lot of people in the chat are probably excited. You might have seen some of our Instagram stories. We have our lead animator for weapons, Mark DeRitter, who's going to talk to us about the weapon animations and show us some video as well. So pretty exciting. So I guess, what is the View model team and how does that function here with Infinity Ward?
Right, so I'm lead animator of the view model team, and by view model, we refer to basically the model within your first-person view. So the player character, your arms, your hands, your weapon. Our primary responsibility for my team is animating player weapons and equipment, but we actually handle a number of first-person systems, like getting in and out of vehicles, piloting the Jackal, like for this game, helmet animations, weapon scanning, basically anything that you see the player character do over and over and over again across all three game modes. That's our responsibility.
All right, so one of the cool things that we've been seeing a lot of chatter about in the community is the gesture system. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, the gesture system was something we got started very early on in the development. We knew right away, pretty much, that we wanted to have this story of Infinite Warfare, the campaign, basically center around Nick Reyes, who you play. You play the main character of the game, and that's a first for us. It's a first for Infinity Ward, and I think to this extent, it's almost a first for the franchise. So not only do you play the main character, but the character has a voice, and he is a captain. So up until this game, anytime we wanted to do anything with the player character other than shooting, reloading, and throwing a grenade, we had to take the control away from the player. We had to drop their weapon, and we'd lock them into a vignette animation. And we still do that, and it's great. But with the narrative requirements of this game, there could be a lot of moments where the story's going on, no combat, and we didn't want to be a fly on the wall. We wanted to be engaged. We wanted to be, talking, emoting, acting, reacting to the environment. And so what the gesture system does for us, without getting too technical, is it allows us to play gesture animation on top of whatever weapon we're holding in our hand. We can keep the gun on screen. We can keep control in the player's hands, and we can bring the player character to life in a way we've never done before. So as you saw in the video here, I don't know if we can hear the video, but he's actually talking to the people using his hands. We don't do that too much. We don't want to overact or overemphasize, but when the moment called for it, we had that available to us to use the hands as like an instrument to amplify the emotion going on within the character that you are portraying.
Yeah, we wanted to make sure that this voice that you just hear coming from basically nowhere had a connection and a visual representation in the game. This was the first time that we had a player voice for an Infinity Ward game. So we wanted to do it in a way that players knew where that voice was coming from, that voice was them. So it was really important in these critical moments that if the Reyes character was saying something, that we had an animation that tied to what he was saying, also expressed some of the emotion that we wanted to get out of him. So Mark's team really put a lot of effort into making that happen, and I think it really brings some of the scenes together and really completes them.
Yeah, the gesture system's awesome. I mean, and I think that it's super successful. And for you guys, did it lead into any other new functionality or mechanics that are new to Infinite Warfare?
Totally. So since we got started on it early in the development, it was like a tool in our tool chest now to utilize when it came to solving problems or coming up with new ideas, new mechanics, and whatnot. And it became really the backbone. So I have like 3 examples of areas where that came in handy. The first being a new mechanic for single player called Door Peek. And I don't think a lot of people maybe not notice this, but early on in the development of our game, playing the rough levels, we realized there's a lot of doors in this game. Not only are there civilian doors, but you've got these big bulkheads. You've got airlocks, which have 2 doors to go through. And up until this game, if we wanted, the only tool we had available to us was to do these vignettes. Gun goes away, control goes away, you go through the door. It's fine, but after a while it gets repetitive. And so we thought, why don't we marry the gesture system along with this vignette, and we can have the gun stay on screen as you go through the door. So you can see we open the door, the hand stays on, the gun's on screen, and now you have a choice. You can peek slowly using movable cover and take out the enemies like we're doing here. You could kick the door down like Rambo if you wanted to. Or you can throw equipment in, like a flashbang or a grenade, and then let that do its job and come in and clean up. But the idea behind this was, in previous games when you were sort of a voiceless grunt following Price or Hesh or Sandman, you got to see them do all the badass stuff. And now that you're the captain, you should be doing the badass stuff. And so we wanted these moments, to you to feel like you are that Price character. You are the one making the decisions, going through and engaging the next room and making the decision tactically how you'd want to do that.
And some of this actually came from consulting with our military experts. They would talk to us a lot about how they pie a door, and basically this is pieing a door. It's breaking down all the angles very slowly and carefully and cautiously, exploring your way into a room. So it's kind of neat that, in talking to these military experts, we were then able to, take what they told us and put it into a game mechanic. Yeah. And it's actually really, I think it's one of my favorite things in the game.
Yeah, they really provided a lot of inspiration for us. They told us about how they'd stack up on a door, and they would choose someone to be the one to go through, and they literally called them, I think, the door bitch, and we used that line in the game.
Yeah.
Salter calls one of the characters door bitch. So anyway, they provide
You
a
mean
lot of
so we just don't open every door with C4 anymore?
No, exactly.
Oh, all right.
Door breach 2.0.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So you had mentioned something about the left-handed throwing system.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so, again, early on in development, we're now having some success with the door, starting with door, but with the gesture system. And the MP designer saw what we were doing. And they asked, hey, can you do gestures while having the weapon up on screen, fire the weapon? And of course, through door peek, yes, we can do that. And so they asked, well, can we redo how we cook and throw equipment, which has been pretty much the exact same mechanic since COD 1. And so the request was try and use your left hand. Keep the weapon on screen so you can fire it and throw the equipment and cook the equipment. Like I said, up until this point, in Call of Duty, you would drop your weapon, you pull the pin on the grenade, and you cook it off screen. You get like this floating head, which never feels good from an animation standpoint. And then you throw with your right hand. But you're left vulnerable. And in our multiplayer, particularly this multiplayer, it's very fast. And we wanted the players to have some defenses when deploying equipment. And so we gave it a shot, and as you saw, it turned out pretty well. So you can see he's cooking it, and the nice thing is you can actually look at the equipment that you have in your hand while you're cooking it too, and fire while you're throwing it. And I think it feels more fluid too. Pretty happy with how it turned out.
That's awesome. So speaking of multiplayer taunts, so something we're seeing a lot being used in multiplayer matches. How does the system tie into taunts?
So at the end of the production cycle, we're having all this fun with gestures, and we thought, gosh, what can we do? Can we use gestures to bring personality and creativity into multiplayer? Let the players kind of have fun. And so we created up to 50 or so gestures that using the gesture system, and we had a blast. As animators, this is just so much fun for us. We did everything from thumbs up to more fun ones like you're seeing here. And the real joy for us is to see the video watching. These are clips I found online of people using the gesture system in a very creative way. These clips here in particular, I should give a shout out to a YouTuber named DL5 or DL55. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but he had this hilarious video. We're all at the office laughing our butts off.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So this is what we want to see. You see most of people, they do that in the countdown, or they'll do it for a kill cam, or the badge of honor is the final kill cam, and to leave a little mark on that. But here he is trolling campers, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, it's so awesome because this is a way that you as a player can finally express yourself, beyond the traditional teabagging or whatever. This is a cooler way of doing it, and it's more entertaining in my opinion. So I'm really happy with this. I can't wait to see some of the new gestures that we're gonna get out to the community.
My favorite is Prosper.
Prosper?
I'm a Star Trek fan, so that's my favorite one to use all the time. So, and there's also kind of a little Easter egg kind of thing that happens in the pre-match countdown. If you're using a particular gesture, which one is it?
Yeah, we just came out recently. If you happen to have gotten the rock paper scissors gesture, it's a fun gesture because when you deploy that gesture, it's random whether you throw rock, paper, or scissors. And I think what people don't know is if you're in the countdown and you face a player, a teammate who has it, you could play rock, paper, scissors together, but what's even cuter than that is that if you win, I think you get like a message saying you won or you lost. I don't know if it's an achievement, but literally it's keeping track, I think, or something. Maybe it's not keeping track, but it tells you, the system tells you won or lost.
Yeah, I mean, I messed around with it the other day, and I never knew that even text would pop up and tell me, like, it was like 3, 2, 1, shoot, and I was like, oh man, that's awesome. So, and I don't think we've had anybody in the community point this out yet. There might be, I apologize if there was, but I haven't seen anybody, specifically call that out. So
I don't think so either. Yeah. It's got to happen across someone who actually has it as well as you. And,
right, yeah.
But now be looking out for that. Now we have a little mini game in the countdown.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun.
So I guess for you, do you have any advice for any upcoming animators or anything like that?
Sure. A lot of getting a job in a game studio or any animation studio, a big part of it is not just what you know, but who you know. And for me, as an animator in Detroit, it was very hard for me to make the jump from automotive advertising, which I was doing, to getting into entertainment. So what helped me out, was I went back to school. I did an online animation training called animationmentor.com. There's also ianimate.com. If you're trying to get in and you want to learn from people who are actually in the industry, these schools will teach you, and you make connections, and it's actually FaceTime with these people doing it, and they remember you. And I got a break because my mentor was working on Ghostbusters, which I'm a huge Ghostbusters fan. I kind of stalked him. I said, if you ever need help, please. And I had to finish the game, and they were working their butts off, and he gave me a chance, and I got to remotely work from Michigan on that game, and having that on my reel, I think was what the key was to getting out here to LA.
Very
so that's
cool.
my advice.
Very, very cool. Well, thank you so much, Mark, for joining us.
Thank you.
And we are going to transition over and bring in another guest we have.